Hello my dear friends, welcome back to the sim and another video. As you see in the background, we are going to fly the 747. I did not get a chance to fly neither 747 nor the 787 after the Aircraft and Avionics Update 2 because I was mostly away from home. And recently I have received a lot of questions about the 747, so that's what we are flying today. Before we start though, let's just explain a couple things. There is the 747 Salty mod. There is the default 747 with the Aircraft and Avionics Update 2. I did some testing with the latest stable version of Salty mod and the default 747 with the working titles Avionics Update. And I think I might be wrong, but what I found out is these are two different aircraft. So Salty doesn't use the working title code. Working title has nothing to do with the Salty, and they never said they do. So that's the default aircraft. How I know this, I will explain when we go through the Cold and Dark startup and you can see it for yourself. But as far as I know from what I remember in the Salty simulations Discord being discussed, they have been coding their own autopilot system, own electronics, hydraulic systems, bleed air systems, etc., etc. And working title kind of did the same with the Aircraft and Avionics update. So I don't think Salty incorporated any of the working title code. Therefore, their systems coding is still, I think, their own. And this kind of shows that the Salty mod is pre-Aircraft and Avionics update 747, and it shows as a separate aircraft in the simulator. Anyway, a lot of talking about it, but I will explain why I think like this here in a little bit. Let's go into the cockpit. By the way, we are in Hong Kong, and we are departing from Victor Hotel for our destination from Hong Kong International to Kuala Lumpur. Changi International in Singapore, and our alternate is Kuala Lumpur. Alright, let's jump into the cockpit and let's get this Queen of the Skies powered on and ready for flight, and we will discuss what has changed with the Aircraft and Avionics update in this aircraft. Here we are in the cockpit of 747. I am using a different cockpit textures mod, which makes it the classic look, so don't just question why yours is looking different than the default 747. This mod can be found on flightsim.to, and I'll try to put a link when I'm editing the video and uploading it to YouTube for you guys if you are interested on grabbing it for yourself. As you see, we are completely cold and dark. We are going to start cold and dark and work our way. First thing, again, this is just default Microsoft thing where ground power is available without any GPU card, but I'm not super worried about it. We will ignore that for now. And we will start with going standby power to auto, unguarding the battery switch and turning on the batteries. And after verifying a couple things that I don't think are simulated in this aircraft, like the wipers might be, and they are off right here. There are some other things that are not working or enough or in the overhead, so we are not going to worry about that, and we will just introduce external power. So these switches come like this. When you first load, I was playing around, so that's why they were in a different position. We turn on the hydraulic systems to on and wait for these lights to extinguish, and we just turn our inertial navigation system to nav so that the aircraft can start aligning. So, two differences that I'm gonna tell you, and these should be off too. Default loadout. One thing, difference between Salty mod and this emergency lights after the Aircraft and Avionics Update 2 can be armed and this guard can be closed. The fire test, other tests, they don't work or they are enough at the point. At this point, and the window heat switches. In the salty mode, pressing one switch will turn on the other one too. In this one, they are separated. So that's the other difference between the salty mode, and this switch was turning on regardless of which one you press. Both of them will turning on, were turning on before aircraft and avionics update in the default 747. So that's why I believe salty mode is still using the pre-aircraft avionics update 747 as their foundation or base. Anyway, let's turn the nav lights on. And from here, we'll just go over, take a look what we can do here, and then start configuring the aircraft. This side, we're done. AMD emergency exit lights, fuel pumps will stay off, anti-ice will stay off except window heat. Lights will stay off. Yaw damper is automatic, it's enough at the moment. Maybe it will be updated with the next aircraft and avionics update, who knows. Bleed air is on, we don't touch the air conditioning system or the bleed air system, and the lights are set up. So that's what we can do for the overhead. Down below, we are looking for alignment in 5 minutes. We can adjust our brightnesses, as you probably know now. And we will set the MCP after setting up our FMC. Let's start with this. Again, this is working title. As you see, this is the aircraft avionics update. So position initialization, we are at Victor Hotel, Hotel, Hotel. And I guess, maybe for later, we will copy this. I was thinking about something to add to this video, but I think it will be too much and it will make the video unnecessarily longer. So let's not do that. And I will share that later on. So that's to align our GPS. We'll go to the route. This is not carried over, which it usually should have in a Boeing aircraft. Destination is Victor or Whiskey, Sierra, Sierra, Sierra. Our flight number today is Sierra India Alpha, Singapore Airlines, 1465. And according to our flight plan routing, we are departing from runway 25 right. Alright, that's all done. Next page, we can now go ahead and select our departure, runway 25 right, and we are departing via the PK1F standard instrument departure. From here, we'll go to the route page and start plugging in our other waypoints. With SID to Pecan, from Pecan we are taking an airway Victor 1-2. It takes some time for this to load into the FMC, so be patient here. And after that, we are taking this airway until Echo Papa Delta Oscar Sierra, EPDAS. That's our intersection. From EPDAS, we are taking Lima 642 airway. And again, airways go on this side, waypoints or intersections go on that side to right, and left side airways, right side waypoints. Lima 642 will take us to SPAB, Echo Sierra, Papa Oscar Bravo. That's selected. From there, we are taking another airway, Quebec 801. And that will take us to SBOM. A lot of S's here today in our waypoints. And from SBOM, we are taking another and final airway, Quebec 802. And that airway will take us to Ilalo. Oh. There we go. So that's our final waypoint. From here, our star starts, which we will go to the index, go to the arrival. We are doing an ILS to runway 20 right via the Ilal 1 Bravo arrival with an IPNAC transition. I am not happy with this transition. And I will explain now why, but I am selecting this and we will come back to this later. So let's go to the route page. Our route is ready to be activated. Let's activate this and execute. At this point, I am not sure if this is the best way to do it. Maybe we should have checked the plan page before activating. I remember that later on, but let's go to the legs page and let's zoom out a little bit. And I'll share what I meant by that waypoint here, and you will see a discontinuity. I've entered this flight plan before. So, all good here, our departure. Looking good so far, no discontinuities. And our IRS is aligned while we were going through the routing. SPOP, SBOM, ELALO, and then our star. And look at that. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's get closer. This is the discontinuity because we are going to nylon and there is very short distance between these two waypoints and a very sharp turn. There is no way a 747 will do this. So to fix this issue, we will take IPNAC and paste it over nylon. And execute this, and it should fix and bring us direct to IPNAC or up. I don't know how you pronounce it. I just pronounce it IPNAC, whatever. Let's keep going. Igula. And I can zoom out just a bit, and that's the runway. It's all looking good now. So that part is done. And let's request board. Oh, by the way, let's not request boarding. The weights and balances are still done through the in-sim menu in this aircraft. And for our flight today, which I haven't entered yet, we will need 40 tons of block fuel. So let's do this. Let's take 5,000 tons on each. Oh, that's not 5,000 kilograms. 40 tons, which is 40,000 kilograms. So 5,000 to here. 10,500 or 15,000. I'm sorry, what I was thinking. 15,000 to main tank. Center or main tank 2 and 3, and then another 5,000 to the other tank. So that's 40,000 kilograms. And I'm gonna take 2,000 kilograms on each reserve tank, just in case. So that's kind of contingency fuel for us. And that should be our fuel done. Our payload and passenger count payload is looking 35.6 tons. We are seeing 34.7, so we are a little bit lighter than our payload. So let's increase our economy class passengers by 2,000 kilograms. So that's 4,722. Do not drag this. This is gonna mess everything up and you will end up with an out of limits CG. So do it from here. That's done, and let's see where we are. 34.7. Okay, we will need to keep going. Premium economy will just put more passengers to forward economy, and that should get us close to our payload. We even passed it, 35.6, so that's too much. But this 37. I am going backwards now. 36.7. I'm okay with, almost okay with this. So let's do this. 15,329, and that gives us 35.7, 35.6. I am okay with this. All right, so that's that part is done. Don't forget to do it. So now we have done it and refueled the aircraft. We can request boarding. And while we are requesting boarding, it makes sense to turn the APU on and start using the AC to cool the cabin a little bit. And also turn the seatbelt signs to auto and chime the cabin.
Do you want to board crew?
No, we don't want to board the crew. The crew is already in the aircraft.
Passengers boarding starting.
Okay. Alright, that's looking good. And what you are hearing in the background is self-loading cargo, which was kind of a lost add-on for the sim. So for 3 years, no updates. It became incompatible with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm not sure about X-Plane or P3D. And there was no word from the developer. And all of a sudden, we just heard that there's an early access release of the new version that will make it compatible. So I'm still skeptical. After 3 years, an update comes, and that comes right around where we heard about a new passenger simulation for flight sim. So is it a coincidence? Is this an early release to draw interest to a software that wasn't touched by the developer for 3 years, and out of the blue he decided to release it? I'm not sure, and I'm super skeptical. So don't go spend your money on self-loading cargo just because you like the conversations you are hearing here and I am using it in this tutorial. I'm just giving you a warning right there, so don't just do it. That's my personal opinion. 3 years, no updates, that doesn't deserve any attention at all. Okay, let's keep going. While they are boarding, we'll just go to the route page. We haven't done the performance initialization. In this aircraft, you just enter the zero fuel weight. That's pre-calculated after you enter your payload. And we will enter our reserve fuel, which we take 4.0. This is all guesstimation, by the way. I'm not using a calculator or anything like that. Flight level 380. And our cost index is 25, according to our flight plan that I generated from SimBrief. This aircraft does not have any sort of SimBrief or CPDLC simulation that contacts SimBrief and downloads the flight plan, so you have to live with entering your routing manually and programming everything here. We'll go to the thrust limiter page. We will select 50 degrees to derate the engines, and we will derate to 20% less. That's 88.1%. I'm fine with this. Down to 87, even 86.5. I think it is going to be okay with 747. Takeoff, we will do a flaps 10 takeoff. Our CG is again auto-calculated. That gives us our trim setting. And V speeds are calculated, pre-calculated for us 1237, 142, 163. So let's set the trim 7.3. That's step trim here. We will roll it back until we see 7.3 in the display. That's our trim set. And let's set the MCP. What was our V2? 163. So we will set this to 163 plus 5, 168. Runway heading for 25 right is 254. Let's set that up. And If I go to the legs page, you will immediately see it, maybe from here. We have a 5,000 or below restriction, so I am tempted to set the initial altitude to 5,000, and then we will climb after we clear that restriction. I'm still not sure how WinAV is going to work. Oh, I should have started self-loading cargo way earlier. Looks like it's not synced with GSX. So now we are boarding passengers using self-loading cargo, and we'll see how this plays out. So if GSX finishes early, we will leave the gate. So performance is done, as I said. While I was doing this, I turned on the packs, and the APU generator is on. We can dismiss the external power if we had a GPU card there, but we don't. So we will leave this as is until we are ready to depart the gate. So let's take a look at a couple things that came with the aircraft and avionics update. We have the electrical page that displays the electrical system information. We have the fuel page that shows how much fuel we have on each tank and on board. We have the air conditioning and bleed air system page. We have flight controls page. We have hydraulic system page, doors, and then gear and tire information. And this info screen is not currently available. We also have nav display that we can put here if we want to. And we can show and hide the warnings or recall and clear. And we have a checklist. That's very basic, but we do have a checklist in the 747. Isn't that amazing? Pre-flight parking brake is set. Fuel control switches are cut off. We already verified that. These are the control switches. And we'll kind of move on to the next one. Before start, passenger signs are turned on. MCP is set. V2 163 plus 5, 168. Heading is 254. Initial altitude 5000. Takeoff speeds V1 137. We rotate 142. V2 163. Those are set. CDU pre-flight completed. Trim is set 7.3. Taxi and takeoff briefing completed. We will assume that. Beacon, we will turn it on when we are ready. We are not quite ready for that yet. So far so good. I'm not gonna make you guys wait for the boarding to be complete. So I will cut the video here and bring you guys back when we are finishing up with the boarding. Alright friends, welcome back. Boarding is almost complete. We are taking the last couple passengers here. And I stopped self-loading cargo. I don't think I can deal with two different add-ons right now and simulate passengers. We are gonna focus on flying the 747. But let me know if you are interested in seeing a full flight video with self-loading cargo. Again, don't go purchase it. Just wait. There's another passenger simulation coming, so be patient about it and don't spend your hard-earned money on something that the developer did not touch for 3 years. Anyway, alright, the boarding is complete. Let's jump into the cockpit. We are now going to request pushback. And we will check that final item and we will turn our beacon light on. And we will also turn all the fuel pumps, including the override switches. And center tanks are empty. I think
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Do we need to turn this tab on? I think there is nothing in this tab tank, so we will just keep it turned off. And what we are seeing here is engine shutdown and anti-ice switch off, which we will deal with when we push back and start our taxi.
Bypass pin inserted.
Alright. one thing I haven't done, let's check the METAR information. I didn't set the QNH. So for our departure airport, weather QNH is showing 1004. So we will set that.
Locking gear.
And oh, sim is showing 1005. We'll take it. So that's set. Flight directors are now on, and we will undo the throttle. So our pushback should be tail left, nose right, and nose left, tail right. No, nose left, nose right, tail left. Oh, we can do that too. Okay, let's do nose left, tail
Release
right.
parking brakes, please.
Okay, so beacon is turned on. That's checked. And we will keep the before tech. Well, we can't. We will go to the
Release parking brakes, please.
engine. Yeah, I'll be patient. I will. Parking brake
Commencing
released.
push. All engines clear. Start at
And
will.
we are starting our pushback. So while we are pushing back, let's turn the packs on. Off. I'm sorry. I don't know if we need to do it in the 747. Can't remember, but I am doing it as a precaution. And the engine start sequence, I remember, is 4, 1, 2, 3. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but that's what I remember. It's been almost a year since I touched the 747. So we are waiting for the N2 to reach 20%, and then we will introduce fuel. There you go. And we are waiting for fuel cutoff, or starter cutout, I'm sorry. We will move on to engine number 1. We are seeing N1 rotation, EGT, and we are seeing hydraulic pressure or oil pressure increasing. So that's the sign of a good engine start. Starter cutout, starting number 1, watching N1, waiting for 20%. And we are pushing back nicely, so we'll see. %, fuel coming in, N1 rotation, light off, and we finally started to see the oil pressure rising. So good engine start on engine number 1, and we are getting ready to do engine number 2. And again, I have seen people starting 2 engines at the same time. We have engine bleed for number 4 and number 1 that we can turn on now. Starter cutout, going with engine number 2. And I'm not sure if this bleed air plus the APU bleed air is used to spool the other engines when you are starting the engines in a 747, but we are doing the same thing, waiting for 20% here. And I'm going to start them one by one. 22, I'm a little bit late, and one rotation, parking brake set.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Light off, and we are seeing oil pressure rising. Let's just confirm good engine start because we have one more engine left.
Engine start. You can disconnect.
I am going to plug in 1071 as our transponder code and put it to standby for now. Starter cutout and starting engine number 3. Last engine. Let's bring the yoke back. And looking to the same thing. 11%, just a little bit more.
Unlocking gear.
18, 19, 20, fuel coming in. And one rotation, light off, and we finally started to see oil pressure for engine number 3, which means engine number 3 is starting. Packs are coming back on.
Left is clear, right is clear.
Engine 2 bleed, engine 3 bleed is turned on. We don't need the APU bleed. And we can turn off the APU. So now we can go and do the taxi checklist. Whatever is in there, I'm not sure. I know this is not enough, but NTIs, those are this. Going to auto. We'll set the flaps to 10. And that can be seen here. As I said, it's 5, 10. There we go. And what else we need to do? Taxi lights on. And I don't think there's anything else here that we can do. Auto throttle is not armed at this point. Recall. Let's do the recall. And if there's anything. Nope. Recall checked. Auto brake to RTO. Flight controls. Let's do this. Pull forward. Center. Pull back. Center. Pull left. Center. Pull right. Center. Right rudder. Center. Left rudder. Center. Flight controls are free and correct. Ground equipment is clear. APU is turned off. So that's the not so complex checklist. So we'll keep it for takeoff, and that's on the flaps, which we already done. Let's put the transponder to TA for now, and we'll go to TRA when we are at the runway threshold. We have a long taxi. So let's get going. Parking brake is off. We should start rolling, which we did. I'll give her just a little bit power to keep rolling down the taxiway. And in the meantime, we can go and check. Goodbye, Hong Kong. Beautiful. This is my cheat to stay on the taxiway, because this is a very long and heavy bird that is not easy to control while you are on the ground. So throttle idle, and I'm just trying to turn without missing too much. So that was really necessary for me to do. So if you count this as cheating, yes, I accept I am cheating. Okay, so back to our seat. We are hopefully picking up some speed to get down the taxiway. And our taxi routing, we are on Bravo 9 right now, as you see over here. That's Bravo 9's sign here. We will be taking Bravo 9 to Alpha 11 and turning left, which is the second left, not this one. The second left. That will take us to Alpha 11, Alpha, Whiskey, Victor, Uniform. Oh no, that's Alpha all the way to the down. And then we will jump on Bravo 6, because we are departing from, I should have selected 25 center. Actually, the other runway is far away, but so be it. I will taxi and bring you guys back when we are getting close to the runway. Alright, see you in a little bit. Alright friends, we are almost done with the taxi and coming up to our runway in a little bit, so let's go back into the cockpit. And we are doing a little bit more on the speed than I like, so let's slow it down. And this next left, after this actually, which is Charlie 11, is our turn into the runway. So I'm gonna slow down a little bit to about 20 knots. And then I'll probably have to do some differential braking to make this turn, this heavy bird. Alright, let's try this. Alright, she is turning. And we should probably hold somewhere here at the runway threshold and take a look at our configuration prior to takeoff. So let's stop here. This is good enough for me. Let's idle the throttles for now. And she requires a lot of thrust to move. I'm not sure if it's true to life, but we need to turn on our strobes. And we assume that we have takeoff clearance. We will turn on our landing lights. And we'll put the transponder to TI. And that's pretty much our takeoff setup, except the radios, which we are not using today. So we'll chime the cabin so that they can get prepared for takeoff. And we are ready to enter the runway, so let's do it. We were just enough throttle to get moving, and she should start moving. And look at that, I'm like at 50% M1. And she's not still moving. Let's keep pushing the throttles until she starts moving, and I don't think this is true to life, like 60% thrust to get her moving. That's a little bit too much in my opinion. But we'll keep it around, and as you see, she's stopping. Is this a sloped entry to the runway? Maybe it is, I don't know. Let's try this one more time. Come on, you can do this. Wait. Alright, now we can cut the throttles back and start turning, as we don't want to miss the center line and be out of alignment. We should see some beautiful views on departure if we can look around. And I'm tempted to turn on my head tracking just to be able to look around, so maybe I will do that for the takeoff. I usually don't use it, not to make people motion sick, and I need to get used to recording videos with the head tracking on, because it requires some special attention to detail, especially if you are looking to the other screen to get information from your flight plan or anything of that nature. You'll just make your viewers motion sick, because before you realize, you will be like making them look left and right in the cockpit. So 25 right, finally we are here. We will just hold the brakes and stop here and discuss about the takeoff stuff. So everything should be now set for takeoff. We will arm the auto throttle at this point, and I'm not sure where the toggle button is in the 747. Is it somewhere here? I don't know. I really don't remember. I thought that was a toggle, but this is auto throttle disconnect. So just let me know where is the toggle button. We'll arm the speed brakes. Speed brakes are armed. Flaps are set to 10. And trim is 7.3. We are ready to roll, guys. Let's do this. We will increase the throttles to about 50%. Let go of the brakes. And I have toggle button programmed to my controller. So I'm gonna start with pressing that. Forward pressure on the stick, and off she goes. Alright, we are monitoring the speed here, airspeed alive. The knots checked. Leaving the pressure slowly when we are reaching 100 knots. Coming up to our V1 very quickly. V1, and then rotate. And there we go. We will center the runway when we pick up some altitude. And that's positive rate of climb. Gear is coming up. We will do a slight right turn. And let's go back to map mode to track our flight plan route. We should have a slight ref turn. We can do LNAV, VNAV at this point. We'll just go and open the speed window to 209. That was I believe a restriction, and we are drifting. Let's just turn, trim the aircraft for pitch so that we can pick up some speed and bring the flaps in. Alright, let's do this. There's the head tracking on, and we are looking to this beautiful view, and we will eventually get back on track. So flaps 5, speed is picking up, and we are at a safe altitude to turn the autopilot on. So now the autopilot will take in, we will sync our heading bug to our current heading, and we are going to probably put the terrain here. We should have done this prior to takeoff, or we'll just do the weather and the data. Alright, dropping the range just for better visibility. Maybe we should go to 5-mile range, and that's our 5,000 restriction. So let's set our cruise altitude. There are no other restrictions. Aircraft is actually clearing that restriction right now with the VNAV, and we probably can start climbing now. So let's do this. Let's set this up, bring the speed to 230. That was the other restriction, and I'm gonna set this up, and then we will just let the aircraft handle the rest of the stuff. Oh my gosh, why are you just rushing it? There we go. Finally. Okay, we are not holding, we are climbing. And we can go back to manage speed, and the aircraft should pitch down. Accelerate to 250 when we clear this 230 restriction, which should be on our legs page. Yes. So that restriction is until our next waypoint, Ramsey, which is in about 7.6 miles. And that's the view. I'm gonna stop head tracking now and go outside and take a look. Oh, beautiful. Isn't she beautiful, guys? I admire the look of 747 a lot. So that's the airport behind us. And this could be a good cover page photo for the video. And let's just go back, because we are going to pass Ramsey and 10,000 here in a little bit. I'm gonna make sure the heading bug is synced all the time. This is very important when you are flying with airliners. There are no failures in this, but if something goes south, this might be your lifesaver. If you lose LNAV, for example. Coming up to 8,500, I can turn off the taxi lights. I should have done that after takeoff. And after takeoff checklist. So before takeoff was very simple. Let's do after takeoff. Landing gear is up, flaps are retracted, so that's the after takeoff checks complete. And we finally we are passing 10,000. I can't remember the transition altitude, so I'm gonna assume it is 10,000. I should have checked the charts, but landing lights are coming off. And let me just check the departure chart very quickly to see the transition altitude. Transition altitude 9,000, so I wasn't quite off. You'll go to standard on the barometric pressure, and that concludes the first part of the Boeing 747 video after the aircraft and avionics update, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, saying this one more time, this and the Salty simulation mod are two different aircraft, so don't expect the Salty to do what this aircraft does, and in my opinion this is superior because it has a more stable autopilot and VNAV system, and even though this is not fully simulated, it is still enjoyable to fly. I'm glad that we have a 747 we can fly with VNAV, LNAV and simulator flight. So let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in part 2 where we'll do the descent, approach and landing.